when there's dialogue and communication, and you know each other. You can pick up the phone, one there is this thing, how do you... But if we are always saying things that I know I'm not involved, or how do you want me to react? You see? That's why the alternative is now a gray no comment. You see, Gabriel and the young colleagues, I think make these interactive meetings a regular feature. Yes. So that we clear all the wrong perceptions that we hold against each other. I agree with you. You see, there are certain policy positions that we also do not agree. During the time of the professor and all those laws that really created a problem in the journalism fraternity. And because there was not much lobbying for against them, they were led to us. They created a few challenges to us. But now there is, I think the current minister is amenable, listening to correct. And that's the position that the president holds. Let's talk. Let's agree to disagree. That's how we should do. But this business of making enemies amongst ourselves as Zimbabweans doesn't help. It's not sustainable. You find someone so emotional against an individual that he thinks or she thinks is an enemy to him or her. If it doesn't help this country, it doesn't. So we certainly check. In some cases, write to us, raising those points, so that when we meet every Monday here. You know, the meetings that I share every Monday to look at what people say, what people think, and how we can, deal with issues. So if we don't know about those reforms, proposed reforms, it will be difficult for us to talk about it. Let's hear that position. So I welcome that kind of position. And in fact, all what you have said is something that is not difficult for us to accept.
We are aware that if you want to talk of the brown envelopes, this is very prevalent and common to our journalists. That some in leadership, positions of influence, may choose to ask you to come and do a story or write something in favor of their narrative or trending. And then you ignore facts. And then get to your editor and present a very different story. And the editor also then runs with it without verifying. Taking from what the madam said, that if you say no comment, you seem to be authenticating what is being alleged. But I think your profession insists that verify, check, don't just go ahead and write. And hence, members who will be sued, you know, your organizations, institutions are sued for having had or a manufactured story as a result of someone who has been given a brown envelope. And the issue the Secretary General spoke about, your ethics do not allow you to be partisan. You just have to report facts as they are. Present that better to stand for the accurate information as opposed to fiction. If you want to leave the journalistic ethics and get into fiction writing, go into fiction writing. You can write and produce many books which people can read. But when it comes now to proper journalism, following your ethics, you should report on accurate facts of things which have been verified and are proven to be correct. Yes, there is this new trend of investigative journalism, but even with that, you need to verify facts, get the facts correct. Then the other issue which the Secretary General spoke about, we have a challenge with budget. We are budgeted by journalists on issues which at the end of the day, if you even choose to refer them to the correct people, say, no, this is the person who should give you the details or a detailed account of that event. Is so and so, or the some will choose because we have departed from the ethics. Then we choose to go ahead and write some of those very incorrect stories. So I think these are the few aspects which are affecting the way we are reporting that reportage. I'm not a journalist. But, you know, these are the things which we find on a daily basis. We have people who come, they attend our events, and they start giving some very negative report. I'm so glad that you have said let's engage. We've started engaging before we get into the full-fledged campaigns where a lot happen. That terrain there is a terrain where, you know, people will be jostling for power. And in the main, a lot of things happen. But we would not like to see unsavory things happening and situations being, you know, taken out of context. So I believe that training, and if you emphasize to your journalists, if we want our salaries to be increased, let's approach our institutions and get them, you know, review our salaries as opposed to receiving some of these brown envelopes which are soiling the image of very genuine journalists. I thank you, sir.
Alex here and the media from which is here. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the media fraternity for being able to identify with His Excellency, the President, Dr. Edin Magagwa motto to say Yika, Nuakwa, Bai. One of you did indicate that you want to be part of the development as we go. And you can only be part of the development when you identify with the happenings of the country correctly, as you emphasized in your presentations. As ZANU-PF, we stand for peace, unity, and development. That's what we stand for. And any other issues which come after that are not part of us. We are not part of violence, and like what the SGA said, His Excellency is always, all the time, talking about peace, 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 peace. And as such, we want to encourage journalists to assist us to identify those people who are not, who are actually perpetrating the violence and also trying to violate journalists on their day-to-day workings. The Secretary General did indicate that we have departments, a Department of Information and Publicity. ZANU-PF is a structured party, unfortunately, unlike other political parties. We have a structure, provincial, in all the provinces, 10 provinces. We have secretaries of information and publicity. So if there is an issue happening in a particular province, please, you can go through the chairman of the province or go through the sector of publicity. But more often than not, SG, the journalists have a tendency of identifying some people who are weak in their thinking, who are weak in their presentations, and say, please, can you comment on this issue in your province? But they'll be knowing that this person is not eligible to do so. And at times when this person says, I have no comment, it's because we are structured. That person is not allowed to comment on party issues because the party has a hierarchy in terms of who is supposed to comment on party issues. So maybe on that matter, it is prudent for you to seek guidance with the SG or the Secretary for Information and Publicity to say, in the provinces, who are you supposed to contact? I'm aware of a particular radio station, right, which would invite individuals to comment on issues on a daily basis, all right? But those individuals, at times when you invite, are not the proper personnel who are supposed to comment on party issues. So maybe from now onwards, please seek guidance as to say who is supposed to comment on this particular issue. And when they do that, SG, there are times then we invite other opposition members or the so-called human rights activists, and we find that this one person who's from ZANU-PF, who represents ZANU-PF, is bombarded by 5 people who are on the same agenda. It becomes very unfair in terms of journalism. I think it's only fair that when you do that, let us have a balanced act. But like I said, this is a very good start off, and I hope it will continue as per your presentation, that we seek to engage and move together as a people. Of course, violence, intimidation, and so forth does not give anybody. And it is not in our DNA at all.
Thank you, Comrade. I think that's what we can say from our side, that we may continue to engage in the interactive this
about brown envelope journalism. It's criminal. We do accept it's criminal conduct, and an embarrassing discussion to all have and to defend journalism around that. It's indefensible. I think that's the first point to make. That as media organizations, we always campaigning and say we can't be a profession identified with criminality, with corruption, and therefore we appeal sometimes to those who get approached for assistance in that form to expose these people, because we can't as a profession be identified with that. So there's an element that purely makes it distorts journalism, it distorts the information ecosystem, it undermines trust in the media and in journalism. All of us run around in that as if we are criminals, and sometimes you then want to say, the more we talk about this, people, I think the best way around it is to expose them. And I think on the part of the party, to discourage also your members from extending any assistance sought in that direction, because first it's criminal, but secondly it just undermines the whole ecosystem. I know Perfect and Scoop are working extremely hard, because some of the defense used for seeking brown envelopes, that the economic environment requires that and all this. I think ZANU are trying to work with employers to ensure they pay people as professionally as possible. But also on your part to recognize you have a very young crop in the media. We're not making excuses for it. In fact, we need more examples of people who will be dragged out, exposed, and the more we expose this thing, the better for the media. So I just thought the DG raises a point, and if we don't respond, they may think we endorse it. We don't, and that we seek to tackle it as much as possible. Thank you. I think the Secretary General wanted to talk to us to issues around the economics of media and how the party also can help push some of the structures that we are seeking to create in order to create a more professional media environment.
There's a hint there.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So I was saying that we are also victims of it as editors, because our reporters are going out to say it's the editor who wants the money. You must give her or him $1,000 for the story to be on the front page or to be in the paper. Yet you are in the office, you are not even aware of it. Such that maybe sometimes when we are moving about, you are saying that editor, I think she's getting bigger, she's eating, she's blowing my money. Yet we are not even aware. So it's a serious issue that we are contending with, even as ZNF, to ensure that we eradicate that outside that is really affecting journalism, because there's no longer professionalism. People are jostling for assignments, jostling for trips, jostling for everything, because some of their sources will give them the brown envelope that we're talking about, and we can't sustain our profession in that manner. So indeed we are seized with it. Thank you.
In ZANU we call it name dropping.
Name dropping.
Yeah, that is quite rampant.
Actually expose people who are involved in accepting assistance in the form that he referred. You can do so through engaging with media organizations here to ensure that these people are called out. And do not hesitate to will get in touch with these organizations, ZUJ, MISA, ZNF, VMCZ, you be assisted in ensuring that these people are called to order. And we think that these are internal mechanisms that we are bringing to the fore, mechanisms that will ensure that all the issue that we always are talking about, issues of criminalization of the profession, we think that that will also help a lot, because then the internal systems will be able to deal with those issues. It brings me to the issue of even ethics. To say we have the Voluntary Media Council of Zimbabwe here, when you have any complaint, you are aggrieved by a story written by a reporter or any publication, you are also free to engage the ZUJ, engage VMCZ to ensure that mechanisms are put in place to redress, to make sure that there is redress. So I just wanted to add on that, so that you also know there are mechanisms that we have as the media to ensure that we push on professionalism. Thank you.
Comrade Chris Chinake and Comrade Kabila, Victoria, I think from our point of view, I think you started very well by trying to establish a common ground with the ZANU PF. You also want to work with us in an amicable way, and you want to be part of development process. But my challenge with you is here. My challenge with you is here, guys. You said you went to the police and they instructed you to have a chat with political parties. Now, how are you going to establish the common ground with the ZANU-PF, Triple C, and other political parties? How are you going to report factually from ZANU-PF point of view, from Triple C point of view, and other political parties? Since you want to be, part of the development process, how are you going to define development from our side or point of view? Then let me go back to issues, that when trending in media, we have got, classical examples. Let me point out on issues of sanctions, where Chamisa pointed out that ndakaenda ku Germany, ndikaenda ku Europe, ndichisunga one, sunga down, and so forth. Do you call that development? Since you want to work with us, since you want to develop this country, how do you pan out that kind of information from a Zimbabwean who wants to build this country? Because when we talk of development, all of us here are affected one way or the other. That is, the fact. Now, let's go to drugs. What are you doing about these drugs, that is causing havoc in this country? Where is your investigative journalism? What are you doing about it? One way or the other, it is going to affect your relative, your kid, or whatever it is. How are we going to develop this nation if we have these issues before us? Now, yesterday we had a meeting where issues of prices have gone haywire. But in our country, we know that we've got bumper harvest in crops like wheat, in crops like maize. But prices are going up, especially during elections. What are you doing about it? Where is your investigative journalism if you want to develop this country? But it looks like, maybe if I talk these issues, it looks like, I'm wearing the glasses of ZANU-PF. But at the end of the day, sometimes I think you are compromising your positions. Because where we feel you need to report on developmental issues, you just ignore them. Right. I will also come to the issue of cholera. Have you realized or have you researched that whenever we are going to have elections, there is a breakout of cholera? What is going on? Do you do your research with who? With our Ministry of Health and so on? Because we feel these are serious issues. Right. Now, let's come to the recent issue of ambulances. Honestly, you have been complaining, or the media has been complaining about, poor service delivery in terms of ambulances and so on. Now the government acquires helicopters. It is a problem for the government to acquire, helicopters. And the government told you or gave you information that these helicopters are for health services, policing, and rescue services. But you are not interested in writing positive stories that instead of using Scotch cars, instead of using helicopters, now the government has acquired the state-of-the-art, ambulances. But we have just gone quiet, or the media has just gone quiet. But instead, you want to know how much that helicopter cost. And do you think, is there any government or any household that will tell you the details how even a company is run? So there are issues where we feel you are shortchanging us. As a result, this is why you end up having this occupational hazard like my brother here. Because you will intend to believe that, no, this guy is biased. Why can't he report on facts? Right. Now, the issue of soiling someone's image, these khaki, envelopes, it is true. We have got ministers here, ZANU PF ministers that have been approached. People are writing negative, issues. What do you do with a journalist who has your photo and he says, if you don't pay me, I will make sure this story will be, the following day is going to be the headlines. This is happening, and you might pretend here that you don't know these guys, but they are there. And it, after them being given that khaki envelope, you go and dine and wine with the monies which that, oh look, Chadona. So, gentlemen, I don't know how we are going to solve these problems. The point is, you want to have a common ground with the ZANU PF. You want to have a common ground with the CCC. You want to have a common ground with other political parties. How are you going to balance this common ground?
We want a peaceful Zimbabwe. I suppose we have representation from throughout the country. Here.
Yes.
Those problems are experienced in provinces. Very clearly, some journalists are partisan. If it's a rally addressed by Director General Zora, they don't even bother to go and cover it. Because they have been told that no, don't promote that guy or don't private. So if you represent all those interests, that's fine. Let's act according to your expectations. But I want to thank you all for coming to this roundtable meeting and reiterate our assurance that ZANU PF will always cooperate with ZANU PF. I'm talking about the party headed by this great man. He abhors violence. If I can tell you how many times some of our colleagues have been cautioned against hate language, against violence, against all sorts of destructive tendencies in this appliance. I mean, he has gone through a lot of torment from his colleagues, former colleagues, of those that opposed him, but he has not taken any action. Before and during. So we are fully behind that position that we should be a peaceful Zimbabwe. And what are our challenges? There is no doubt. But let's not ride on those challenges to make our case. It's only Zimbabwean opposition that seeks to destroy Zimbabwe. Only here in Zimbabwe, where you go, you have people, very respectable people, going out to malign their own country. We've been to Zambia, Rwanda, South Africa, you have the Malemas there. We can say anything about their opponents, but they will never say anything to destroy their country. Like we said, journalists here don't seem to understand that simple fact. They don't seem to understand that simple fact. You don't go to your detractors and the president to create problems for your country in order for you to rule that country. It doesn't work that way. Let's fight in the house, and after that we tell people that we are nationalists, we like each other, but we're opposed to each other on the basis of one people. But anyway, if that gives you good news, let it be. But we want to work as a family without really interfering in your respective responsibilities. You are free to call on us, free to call on the secretary in charge of publicity, Comrade Mswanga, Comrade Mkwara. If you find it difficult to perhaps get what you want, you can talk to me. You can phone me 100 times, I will respond to all your calls. That's one thing that I was taught. After cabinet or after political fund, there are 200 calls. I will reply to each and every one of them. See, even those that abuse me, I respond to. Then I want to thank Kabila for persuading us to have this meeting on behalf of his colleague. One is the only journalist in Zimbabwe who kept the Secretary General waiting for a meeting. Yeah, but we were told you were engaged. Yes. Yeah. But we have always wanted to meet you.
Yeah.
You see, the interesting thing is that even the European Union ambassadors, the British American, those that we think don't like us, are meeting us here. ZANU PF is a highly professionalized party. We have all sorts of, all your former lecturers are here, former ministers are here. It's not the ZANU PF that you are used to hear about, where you thought you'd find some AK at the gate. It's an indeed political corporate. We have all the institutions to deal with public interest. We are free to we don't even ask for your card as you get through the gate. Before we would ask you, which newspaper? Oh, Newsday, no. But now come in, we will receive you. And You want to see the Secretary General, just tell them your name and that you want to see them. You can see. So comrades, we are comrades. Indeed, not because we are in this building. We always be comrades. We appreciate and cherish your assignments, your responsibilities. But let's be factual, maintain ethical conduct expected from your profession.
Privileged and honored to be here engaging with you. As editors, we stand ready to do our best in covering elections. We have looked at it as something that is in three phases. We have the pre-election period, we have the elections, and we have the post. To us, these are key stages or phases of elections. That means our total commitment, our total coverage. It is our role to ensure the various publics, which are our readers, our audiences, are informed accurately about progress in terms of the elections. Like I said earlier, we do agree that they excite everyone, and in that process, sometimes we get fake news playing out. Sometimes it might not be fake, but exaggerated or inaccurate in some instances. But as ZANU, we are committed to ensuring that we work together with the ruling party and other parties as part of our engagement to ensure that that sort of thing does not happen. Our newsroom processes ensure that we verify and fact-check information. Particularly during elections, there are many stakeholders who are interested in their various aspects. Some want the elections to go in a certain manner, or they want this party to win or this other party to win. So as editors, we are faced with all those parties. We are faced with all such kind of information and news coming to us. So our role is then to verify together with our teams. We have in our newsrooms, we have reporters, we have line editors, then we have the senior editors. So it behoves us to ensure that we verify and fact check. So this is also a big area where we would need your help and assistance, because sometimes we face challenges when we want to verify or to get information. We get a bit of roadblocks there. Some are not willing to speak. Some are saying, because as ZANU we represent both private and public, and some are saying, okay, you want to ask from Newsday, it means you've got this mission. You want to ask from the Herald, from the Sunday Mail, it means your mission is like this. But our desire is to ensure that the facts play out in the public space. So we do really need your assistance and commitment to ensure that we have made the open lines of communication where we can quickly verify. Some are daily newspapers, some are weekly newspapers. So dailies are usually sitting on the edge all the time. And even those weekly, they also have digital platforms where they are posting news as it happens. So it will be critical. I know we have instances where reporters have come to report that they're trying to get hold of, I'm not saying within ZANU only, all over. They're trying to get information, but it does not come at the time or before our deadline. Hence, sometimes you may go to print, either we leave out that story, but usually we don't leave it out. We just put the comment, no comment could be obtained from ZANU. So that is dangerous, if I may say, because a no comment means you're actually authenticating that, whether it's an accusation or an allegation. If you say no comment, it's like you are saying, it's the truth, but I won't tell you it's the truth. So it's better to comment than to say no comment. In our preparedness as editors and as newsrooms, our reporters are going through training processes and acclimatization with such such acts as the Electoral Act and other such as we seek to be up to speed with issues, so that we report from an informed position. A dangerous journalist is one that reports from a position of ignorance. It means they are not even sure of what they are writing. How about the publics to which they are writing, or maybe producing a TV program or a radio program for? So it is important that they are acclimatized, they are up to speed with that. So that we have already begun to do. We also conducting, as what's been said by the previous speakers, we are conducting a stakeholder engagement. We are part of the team and the process where we're meeting ZAC, the police, and now the political parties, as is the case this morning. And we hope that such meetings, we we surely ensure that we access information. It's key in media as journalists to access information, correct information that is easily verifiable, that we can easily fact check, so that at least we have also the trust of the media, of our publics, and also so that we play our role as the media effectively to inform, educate our various publics. Yeah, the other point I've already mentioned is where I was saying that some people have the opinion that maybe there's polarization, serious polarization between the private and public media. But I'm here to tell you as Senior Vice Chair that there is no such thing. We work together well, we sit together. There may be divergence in our views and opinions about certain issues. I don't want to say certain political parties, I'm saying certain issues. There may be divergence of opinion. But under the umbrella of ZINEF, we do our best to ensure that we stand guided by facts. I may have a party I like to support, the next person might have a party they want, maybe there are different parties. But when we are doing our work, we have to be as professional as we can be, and we have to be reflective of what is happening on the ground to the best of our ability. And this is what we emphasize within ZINEF. You know, elections time are very attractive in us being sensationalizing information and all sorts. But we said that happened a long time ago. But now we are part of the development process of our nation in Zimbabwe. So it is upon us that we should do the best that we can to reflect what is going on very well. An issue of concern also, however, is to do with security. It was raised before. We've had instances where journalists from both the private and the public media have had rough instances, if I may say, with heated rallies or certain meetings. Maybe this could be individual. It might not reflect a party's position, but those individuals at the grassroots or at the bottom level, once it happens, they are your ambassadors, isn't it? Say this instance, if we're talking about ZANU here. So if anyone, maybe local district or Kusel, if they do anything to our journalists, it's not them, it's the party that they represent. So we would really appreciate if we can work together well. How we can do that is maybe the reason also why we are here.